Welcome to our video about 5 scary stories based on real paranormal events. Story 1. Ward 10B, North Ward Hospital, Townsville. Everyone in Townsville has heard the whispers. The kind that come after dark, when the streetlights buzz a little too loud and the wind seems to carry voices. The source? Ward 10B, a long-abandoned wing of the old North Ward Hospital, now sealed off and forgotten by most, but not by all. In the 1980s, Ward 10B was the psychiatric wing, tucked away behind reinforced doors and narrow windows. It wasn't spoken about openly, but people knew. The patients there weren't just unwell. They were ghosts in waiting. Many were admitted and seemingly never left. The story started when staff began refusing shifts in that section. Equipment would fail, beds would be found moved, lights flickered even when the power was fine. An orderly named Sam once told his mate down at the pub that he walked past room 14 one night, a room that had been empty for 3 weeks. He heard someone humming inside. When he opened the door, the room was dark, empty, but warm, like someone had just been there. He left and never returned to the hospital. The most disturbing tale came from a nurse named Claire who worked night shifts. One night she was doing her rounds when the call light flicked on in room 10. That was the one with the broken switch. No one had been in that room since the patient moved out, after she reportedly kept speaking to the boy in the ceiling. Claire, professional but spooked, went in to check. No one there, but the room was freezing. Her breath fogged. She turned to leave, and saw a shape behind her in the reflection of the window, a figure. Slumped, watching. She spun around, but there was nothing. Claire reported it to her supervisor, who calmly told her, "You've met the echo." The echo, it turns out, was something the staff whispered about but didn't officially acknowledge. An apparition, a memory on loop. The theory was that the energy of the ward, the pain, the loneliness, the treatment methods that were later banned, had created something that refused to leave. By the early 1990s, the state had started shutting down old psychiatric facilities. Ward 10B was quietly closed. No announcement, no ceremony, just locked doors and silence. The rest of the hospital remained active for a while, but staff avoided that wing like it was radioactive. Years later, when urban explorers snuck into the abandoned ward, they filmed themselves walking through dark corridors with broken tiles and faded patient notes still on clipboards. One video showed the moment they passed room 14, and the camera glitched. Just for a second, a distorted frame. In it, something moved. Tall, thin, a smear of gray. The footage was uploaded and went viral. But when viewers paused the glitch frame, they saw something behind the explorer's shoulder, a hand pressed against the glass. The hospital has since been decommissioned, but the building still stands. Locals say if you walk past at night and look at the upper windows, you might see the faint glow of a call light flickering. Just one. Always room 10, and if you stop too long, you might hear it, humming. Just soft enough to make you question if it's real. Whatever lives in Ward 10B isn't resting. It's remembering, repeating, waiting for someone to listen. Some echoes never fade. Story 2. The Curse of Devil's Pool, Babinda, Cairns region. At the foot of Mount Bartle Frere, where the rainforest hangs heavy and the mist seems to curl around your ankles, there's a place that's claimed more lives than it should. They call it the Devil's Pool, a stunning natural formation near Babinda that's as deadly as it is beautiful. To tourists, it looks like paradise. Boulders stacked like ancient bones, water so clear it looks fake, and trails carved into the forest by time and footsteps. But locals know better. They keep their distance, especially when the river runs high, because that's when she's most active. The legend starts with Ulana, a young woman from the Yidinji people, whose spirit is said to linger at the pool. The story goes that she fell in love with a man from another tribe, and when they were separated, she ran to the pool in despair. Her cries became part of the water. Her grief, her fury, they soaked into the stone. Since then, more than 20 people have lost their lives there. All young, all healthy. Most pulled under in calm-looking conditions. One minute, they're laughing with friends. The next, gone. Emergency crews can't explain it. Divers say the currents are unpredictable. Some claim there are underwater tunnels and suction pockets that act like traps. But that doesn't account for the sightings or the sounds. One hiker reported seeing a woman standing on a boulder, long black hair streaming behind her. Except it wasn't windy. When he looked again, she was gone. Another witness, a tour guide, heard a voice whisper in his ear, "Leave." He turned, expecting to find one of the tourists mucking about. But they were all still climbing, and no one had been near him. The most disturbing story came from a pair of backpackers who wandered off trail. They found a smaller pool above the main one, a kind of hidden cove. While resting, they heard soft weeping. Thinking someone was hurt, they went to help, but found nothing. Just a single set of footprints leading into the water, and none coming out. They bolted. One of them returned days later and swore the water was warmer in that same spot, like something had been waiting. There are signs posted everywhere now. Warnings, barriers. The message is clear. Don't swim. Don't climb, don't risk it. But every year someone does. Locals say it's not just the water that pulls people in. It's her, Ulana. Mourning, calling, luring. She's still there. You can feel it when the clouds roll in and the birds go silent. When the water darkens just slightly, like it's hiding something beneath the shimmer. They say if you hear your name in the wind near the Devil's Pool, don't turn around. She's behind you, waiting. Story 3. The Hotel Room That Doesn't Rent Cairns, QLD. Cairns is a gateway to the tropics. Tourists come for reefs, rainforests, and adventure. But behind the palm trees and smiling tour guides is a darker story the brochures don't mention. One that's whispered by night staff, hidden in old buildings, and avoided by those who know. This one's about a room that's locked. Not because it's under renovation, not because it's unsafe, but because it knows when someone's inside. Part 1. The Hotel That Changed Names. In the heart of Cairns sits a century-old hotel, once known as the Pacific Grand, then the Tropic Palms, now under a different name altogether. It's been renovated over and over, but room 213 has never changed. It's not listed online, not available for booking, and if you ask about it at the front desk, staff go quiet, or lie because room 213 has a past. In 1986, a backpacker from Germany was found in the room, dead from apparent self-harm. But the scene was wrong. No blood, no signs of struggle. Her face was frozen in terror, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. The coroner couldn't explain the bruises around her neck. There were no fingerprints. To Part 2. The Cleaning Lady. A cleaner named Marlene worked at the hotel from 1991 to 2005. She told her niece about something that happened in the mid-90s. She was asked to clean room 213 one morning, even though it wasn't occupied. When she unlocked the door, she said it felt like walking into a freezer. The lights wouldn't turn on and the curtains were already open. But someone was sitting on the edge of the bed. A girl, long black hair, dressed in a white tank top and denim shorts. Marlene blinked, and the girl was gone. But the bed was still warm, and there was an imprint where she'd been sitting. That was Marlene's last day working the top floor. Part 3. The Tourist Footage. In 2012, a Canadian couple uploaded a travel vlog from their Cairns trip. One clip showed them joking around in the hallway of their hotel, near room 213. Later in the video, without noticing, they caught something behind them. A girl peeking from behind the door. But here's the thing. The couple said the door to 213 had been padlocked when they were there. Comments flooded in. The video was taken down within a week. A Reddit post tried to preserve it, but the link's dead now. People say the girl's eyes were too wide, like she had no eyelids. Part 4. The Temp Guest. A local travel agent named Kylie booked a last-minute staycation in 2018. She was given a quiet corner room on the top floor. Said the number had been scratched off the door. Inside, the room looked fine, outdated but clean, until she found the closet. It wouldn't open fully, something was behind it. She forced it, and found a small crawl space patched with concrete. The patch was fresh. That night she heard scratching. From inside the wall, she left at 3 a.m., keys on the counter, no checkout. When she returned the next day to complain, they told her she was never checked into that room. It wasn't in the system. Part 5. The Door That Opens Itself. Locals who work the night shift in Cairns know the stories. Delivery drivers say the light under 213 flickers when the building's empty. Taxi drivers say they've picked up guests from the hotel who vanish before reaching the car park. And staff say that every few months the door to room 213 is found unlocked, even if it was bolted. Even if the keycard system says it hasn't been accessed in weeks. One security guard swears he saw a woman standing behind the glass one night. She mouthed something to him. He's never repeated what it was. He quit the same week. Part 6. What locals say. There's a rumor that before the hotel was built, the land was used for a maternity asylum, a place for unwed mothers to give birth in secret. Some babies were adopted out, others weren't. No records survive. Just the sound, sometimes, of a child crying from the third floor. The hotels in Cairns get bought and sold often, but room 213 is always there, waiting. Story 4. The Bell Tower That Watches, Rockhampton, QLD. Rockhampton isn't just Queensland's beef capital. It's one of the oldest colonial cities in the state, built on sandstone, blood, and buried secrets. You won't find the scariest stories in the brochures, but locals know, especially those who've spent time near the old school on the hill. The following story is inspired by real events, whispered history, and public records from one of Rocky's most haunted landmarks. And they say if you hear the bell at night, you're already being watched. Part 1. The tower perched just outside the city center is an old sandstone school building, originally built in the late 1800s. It was a convent once, home to nuns, students, and a bell tower that's since been sealed shut. Why? Because people kept hearing the bell ring at night, even though it had no rope. Even though the bell was welded, the council blamed wind. But wind doesn't echo like that. And it doesn't sound like someone walking across wooden floors above your head, when the top level's been closed for decades. In 1993, a security guard reported seeing a woman in a black habit standing in the bell tower. When he checked the building, it was empty. Later that week, he quit. He told the paper he was being followed. Part 2. The Locked Desk. In 2004, the building had been converted into offices. A government employee named Lisa worked late one Friday night, trying to meet a deadline. She was the only one on level 3, a floor with polished floors, old desks, and drafty windows. She heard tapping, then footsteps, then breathing. Thinking someone was playing a prank, she opened the hallway door. Nothing. Until she noticed the desk, the one nearest the window, locked shut, untouched since the convent days had been opened. Inside was an old rosary and a child's hair ribbon. Lisa left her files on the floor and walked out. She never went back upstairs. Part 3. The Boy. One of the creepiest tales comes from 2011. A school tour had been visiting the historic building. One of the boys, 13-year-old Elijah, got separated from the group. CCTV later showed him standing at the bottom of the stairwell, looking upward, then speaking to no one. When his teacher found him 15 minutes later, he was in tears, saying a woman in a veil told him to wait. Told him she'd take him to the real classroom. He described the old uniform in perfect detail, a design not used since the 1930s. His mom pulled him from school that term. Part 4. Sealed Door. In 2017, builders doing a refit of the East Wing found a sealed door behind a false wall. Inside, a narrow stairway leading nowhere. The space had been bricked off, but the air was ice cold. They also found names scratched into the brick. At least a dozen, each dated between 1891 and 1894. The same year, a massive flu outbreak hit Rockhampton. The same year, several students mysteriously died during the winter term. No official records exist. But whispers around Rocky say the convent had ties to ritual practices, dark ceremonies carried out under the guise of strict Catholic discipline. Some even claim symbols linked to satanic rituals were carved beneath the old altar, long since removed. Locals say that part of the school was never reopened. In 2017, builders doing a refit of the East Wing found a sealed door behind a false wall. Inside, a narrow stairway leading nowhere. The space had been bricked off, but the air was ice cold. They also found names scratched into the brick. At least a dozen, each dated between 1891 and 1894. The same year, a massive flu outbreak hit Rockhampton. At the same time, several students mysteriously died during the winter term. No official records exist, but locals say that part of the school was never reopened. Part 5. The Bell. In 2020, after a major storm, a group of urban explorers snuck into the old school building. They live-streamed their walk, joking around until they hit the main hall. Then the audio cut out for exactly 11 seconds. When it returned, the room was empty. Just the camera, still live, facing the ceiling, and the sound of a bell ringing. The footage went viral. The kids came forward later, saying they'd heard footsteps and a voice that didn't belong. They didn't realize the bell had rung, until people pointed it out in the clip. One of the group moved to Brisbane. Another deleted every post. Part 6. What locals say. Some say the bell tower wasn't just a lookout. It was a warning. The sisters who ran the place believed in purification, prayer, and punishment. If a child misbehaved, they'd spend the night under the tower. Some came out silent, others never came out at all. Today, people avoid the building at night. The bell tower casts a shadow no matter what time of day it is. If you see a woman in black watching from the top window, don't look twice, because she'll remember you. And next time you hear the bell ring, it might be for you. Story 5. The Sugar Mill Shadow, Ingham. QLD Ingham is cane country. Lush green paddocks by day, thick mist and a bone-deep silence by night. But if you talk to the old mill workers or the locals who've lived through storm season, you'll hear whispers about what really lingers near the sugar mills and creeks. This story is based on real tragedies, historical fires, and the legends passed around during late-night smoko breaks. Because some say it's not just cane that gets burned in Ingham. Part 1. The Night the Mill Burned. In 1962, the Victoria Sugar Mill, one of the biggest employers in the region, caught fire. No official cause was ever confirmed. Some blamed a lightning strike, others faulty wiring. But a few said it wasn't the first time that part of the mill had gone up in flames. Fire crews claimed the blaze moved unnaturally fast, almost like it was chasing people through the machinery corridors. One young worker named Carlo went missing in the smoke. His body wasn't found until days later, not near the blaze, but in a water tank, eyes open, face locked in a silent scream. They rebuilt, but the stories didn't stop. Part 2. The Red-Eyed Man. By the mid-80s, night shift workers began to report sightings of a tall, thin figure near the cane fields just outside the mill. Always just out of reach. Always watching, eyes glowing red like brake lights. One cleaner quit after seeing the man standing inside the bag-ass pit, a place no one should be at 2 a.m. They say he appears just before something goes wrong. A fire, a jammed press, a serious injury. Management said it was just stress hallucinations, but the workers gave him a name, the Overseer. Part 3. The Girl by the Tracks. Near the outskirts of Ingham is a line of old cane train tracks that run through thick scrub. Not used much anymore, but still intact. Local legend says a teenage girl died there in the 1970s, hit by a cane train after sneaking out to meet someone. Her body was dragged several meters. To this day, people walking near those tracks at night say they hear soft crying and the sound of footsteps behind them. One couple even claimed their phone started playing a recording on its own, a voice whispering, "Don't leave me here." They don't walk there anymore. Part 4. The Possession on Cartwright Street. In 2003, a house on Cartwright Street became the talk of the town. The family, a young couple and their baby, began reporting strange smells, electrical problems, and the sound of someone walking across the roof. One night, the father claimed his wife changed, not in her words, but her posture, her stare. She tried to walk out into the street holding the baby, even though it was pouring rain. When he stopped her, she laughed in a voice that wasn't hers. A local priest was called. The house was blessed. Things calmed down for a while, but they didn't stay. The family left after their baby developed night terrors and refused to sleep in the house again. That house still stands, but no one lives there for long. Part 5. The Cane Fire Shadow. Every cane season, parts of the paddocks are deliberately burned, an old farming practice. But ask the older generation and they'll tell you, some fires behave strangely. One harvester said he saw something move through the fire, tall, thin, and walking upright. He thought it was a prank, until it passed through a fire break without slowing, until it turned its head and looked straight at him. He went home and didn't return for the rest of the season. Others say the shadow only appears when a burn is rushed or done improperly, as if the land itself is warning you. Part 6. What locals say Ingham is proud country, hardworking, resilient. But beneath that pride is respect for old rules. Don't walk the train tracks after sundown. Don't harvest when the fog's too thick. And if you hear footsteps during a cane fire, don't look back. The sugar mill pays the bills, but the stories? They've been around longer than the machinery, and if you ever feel like something's watching you near the paddocks, you're probably right. Thank you for watching.